Hey everybody, Snowdog here. Today we're talking about similarities between 1930s Europe in the run-up to World War II and the Ukraine war situation we have today. The history I'll be talking about is from memory rather than authentically researched, but I do have quite a good historical memory, so it won't be perfect, but possibly better for storytelling. And if you want more details, research it. So it's just my observations as such, so let's get on with it. Ooh. So basically things I've noticed in similarity is one thing is which come to mind is the international forces which are forming to go into Ukraine to help the Ukrainian people, where people are coming from different nations and coming together. It reminds me a little of the 1936 Spanish Civil War, where there was the International Brigade, which was a mixture of people from different nations who went in to help fight against the fascists in Spain. The fascists ultimately won. Not that that's relevant to this, but just in case you wanted to know the outcome on that occasion. Anyway, other things which are similar, in the run-up to World War II, Adolf Hitler had this thing where let's roll back to the end of World War I, which was ended in 1918, and there was the peace treaty was called the Versailles Treaty. And with the Versailles Treaty, it took away a lot of German land and made it into little individual countries and what have you. And in the run-up to World War II, Hitler tried to regain that land. Similarity I'm seeing here is at the collapse of the Soviet Union, a lot of countries became independent of Russia and have been mostly since. But it seems that over a period of time, that Putin has been trying to gain back lost lands which used to be part of the Soviet Union. The Ukraine, he's had two stabs at already. There's the Crimea, which he annexed in 2014, which is an island off the bottom of Ukraine. Some of you may have heard of it in history from the Crimean War with the charge of the Light Brigade, where the British famously charged Russian cannons and pretty much lost the battle. But anyway, there's also the Donbas region in southeastern-ish Ukraine, which there's been Russian-speaking separatists who the Russians have supported, and that's a combat which has been going on for quite some time. But with the current situation, he's gone in saying that the people welcome him and all the different pressures and a lot of the techniques of like being on the border, trying to manipulate outcomes politically to get land back is very similar to what Hitler did. There are differences. On that occasion, Britain, France in particular, plus other nations, really didn't want to get particularly involved. And after World War I, being fairly recent history at the time, sort of like 15, 20 years before, where so many people died, people really were not willing to go back into another war, understandably so. The situation is a bit different now, although people don't want war. I think a lot of that's probably more to do with the risk of nukes. Hang on, there's supposed to be two hands in it. Nukes. But really, it's not Russia which is the issue here, because it seems that many Russian people, especially younger people in Russia, are very, very much against the war, and even Russian troops are like, why are we even here fighting our brothers and sisters? We were told it would be a pushover. We were told that they would welcome us, and that's not happening. So all round, it's all a bit of a crap show. But similar techniques are being used from pre-World War II by Hitler. I think the biggest difference here is that Putin won't be able to get away with taking as much land back as Hitler did, because Hitler got back the Rhineland, Austria, Sudetenland. They're all different places he got. And right now it's, the world opinion is very different from how it was back in pre-World War II. But there are similar circumstances. Although thankfully different enough. The bottom line here, as I said before, is this is Putin's doing. it seems that he's the one with the intent to grab all this back. And I think if it does come to a war, which hopefully it doesn't, but if it does, I believe the war should be not declared on Russia, but declared on Putin. Now, you may think declaring war on an individual person is a strange thing to do, but it has happened once before in history. With Napoleon Bonaparte, after he'd originally been exiled, when he came back from the exile, the Allies declared war on Napoleon, not on France. So I think that's a good precedent to say, like, yeah, with Putin, we declare war on you. Because I feel sorry for the Russian people who are being punished economically for something they're mostly not supporting. The Ukrainian people being incredibly brave standing up to this invasion. I mean, one of the things to think is if this was in our country, what would we do? And I'm pretty much sure that most of us would do the same as the Ukrainians are. We wouldn't want to be taken over like that, so we would fight to the end. I think the difference is these days, because the last major war was so long ago in European soil, that we are probably more likely to defend stronger than in the early parts of World War II, because with World War I being so soon before, the loss of life so terrible, people were so not wanting to go into it, understandably so. But yeah, I mean, really, the length of this war is all down to one man, and that's Putin. If nukes are used, unlikely but possible, that will be Putin. If he actually succeeds in capturing Ukraine, it's going to be a colossal loss of Ukrainian life, and will cost a fortune in lives and weapons and things to be able to keep the occupation. Because when you've got an unwilling populace who are going to fight back, it makes it very difficult. Yeah, so basically it's down to Putin what's going to happen. And I want to not go on too much with this video, so I think I'm going to end there. And don't worry too much. Keep observing and what have you. But it'll probably work out fine in the end. Bye for now.